Hi, have you seen the Manchester Evening News today? I've just been online and had a quick look on the homepage. Don't have to go digging for any of this. Homepage, some of the stories, all about crime in Greater Manchester. It's disgraceful. What you don't know is the Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham, is also the Police Crime Commissioner, which means the state of crime in Greater Manchester is his responsibility. He's in charge. He's the line manager of the Chief Constable. The book stops with Andy Burnham. Let's read some of these headlines and quickly discuss them. Grinning thug poses for selfies outside court after he spared jail for stabbing stranger in Piccadilly Gardens. Piccadilly Gardens yet again. This 22-year-old thug doesn't even get sent to jail. He ran up and stabbed somebody that he didn't even know, that he wasn't even involved with the argument and the fight. He just saw an opportunity to stab somebody in the backside. At least it wasn't in the heart. At least he had the sense to stab somebody where he wasn't going to kill them. But that's not the point though, is it? I don't fancy being stabbed anywhere. If you want to know why we have a knife crime problem in Greater Manchester, this is the example you need to remember. You can stab somebody in Greater Manchester and you will not go to jail. This guy even had previous convictions of carrying a knife, of robbery. He wasn't a nice person anyway. And all he gets is 18 months order, which means he has to chat to somebody every now and again. How do you feel? Are you okay? Are you stressed? Be a good boy. Is that a deterrent? I wouldn't stab anybody anyway, but if I did want to stab somebody, that wouldn't stop me stabbing someone. That's why we have a knife crime problem in Greater Manchester. Next story. Piccadilly Gardens again. Piccadilly Gardens. Piccadilly Gardens was back to its usual self last night, but 36 hours before, things were very different. This is the story of the Manchester Evening News reporter being invited by the police for a crackdown on Piccadilly Gardens a couple of days ago. Police turn up, lots of numbers, searching people, arresting only one person, I believe. But gardens are fantastic when you've got 40 officers there. But this story is about within hours, the next day, all back to normal again. Drug dealing, violence, thugs, criminals, undesirables, the mentally ill, begging, homelessness, all goes back to normal. Why? Because a big bang twice a year where you just crowd into Piccadilly Gardens and try to get some law and order there. Twice a year is not enough. These people are dysfunctional. They know it's not going to last. They don't care anyway if it lasts or it doesn't last. You've got to have police in the gardens every single day. Every day with high-vis jackets on, walking around and nipping issues in the bud. None of this hanging around until someone gets stabbed in the backside, then acting. We need officers who are proactive, getting in the face of the criminals, getting in the face of the drug dealers. If you can't arrest a drug dealer, then hassle the drug buyers. Hassle their customers so they don't want to go to Piccadilly Gardens anymore. That's how we solve some of the problems in the hotspot of Greater Manchester that we know as Piccadilly Gardens. Next story. The drug deal outside a Greater Manchester pub that led to a police officer couple both losing their job. Let me say that again. A couple, a man and a woman, both police officers, using and buying drugs for personal use, and they lost their jobs. Good. But that's not the question though, is it? The question is, how the hell did these two get a job in the first place at Greater Manchester Police? Now, I'm sure it's very difficult at interview to figure out if someone's taking Class A drugs. Because if you ask them the question, they're going to lie. But where's the random drug tests for police officers? That's a deterrent. I don't know when I turn up for my shift at the police station, is today the day I get tested? And people who take Class A drugs are taking them all the time. It's not like you've got to be lucky to catch them. It's in their system all the time because they're constantly taking it in the evenings, at weekends, partying. It won't be that difficult to root out the officers who are taking Class A drugs. And taking Class A drugs isn't the real issue. They're dealing with criminals to buy their drugs. They're open then to blackmail and intimidation, and then they become crooked officers themselves. That's the real issue here. Not what an adult does with their own body taking Class A drugs, but when you're in a position of power and you've got access to the National Police computer, you're wide open to blackmail if you're taking Class A drugs. Now, we need to do something about those type of officers. We need a better recruitment process, and we need a better process about how we're looking at and investigating officers who are already employed. And sometimes it needs to be a fishing exhibition where we don't even know if these officers have done anything wrong, but we're going to have a look anyway, and we're going to do a bit of digging anyway. And officers know that will happen. That's what we need to do. Sick man sexually attacked woman on train in a hideous assault. This is a guy on a train from Wigan who sits next to a woman on the train and then starts undoing his pants, playing with himself and making advances to her. Gets 18 months in jail. That's it. 18 months. At least he got sent to jail. Bloody hell. I shouldn't be complaining about that. But 18 months. Let me tell you about these perverts who do these we call it low level. In the grand scheme of things in sexual assault, this is a low level sexual assault. But for the woman involved, it's not low level. It changed her life. But these types of offences build up over time. And these are the type of men who eventually go out and rape and murder and do serious sexual assault. They all start off small, baby steps. Look what I'm doing, I'm flashing. Look what I'm doing, I'm speaking inappropriately to a woman I don't know. Look what I'm doing now, I'm taking my penis out. Look what I'm doing now, I'm slightly touching her knee. They build up courage, they build up confidence, they build up the kick of what they're doing. This man needs 10 years in jail. Because that's what you call prevention. Because while he's in jail, he's not offending anymore, is he? Jail works. Jail doesn't work to convince people not to be perverts and criminals. We're really bad at that in this country. But jail works by taking people off the streets and making sure they don't offend anymore. Jail works. Last one. Serious Crime Division cop accused of supplying Class A drugs and possessing ammunition appears in court. Another police officer who isn't fit to wear the uniform, who's giving everybody else a bad reputation because it sounds like he's a criminal. Now, he's appeared in court. He's not been convicted yet. He's not guilty yet, but it's looking like that. He had Class A drugs which he was dealing, and he had live ammunition. That's dodgy. That's extremely dodgy. The other two police officers were just taking Class A drugs. This guy is suspected of dealing Class A drugs. Again, wide open to abuse, wide open to blackmail, wide open to being an intelligence threat on the whole police system. He's a real danger. So if he's guilty, which at the moment we don't know, if he's guilty, he needs a long time in jail. Because that sends a message to other police officers that we will not accept this. And police officers get a bad time in jail. That's a deterrent for police officers to stay on the right side of the law. Because in jail, you'll find out criminals don't like police officers in jails. Even if they are criminals themselves, they get a hard time. And good. No sympathy there at all. These are the stories today in the Manchester Evening News. These are the stories you need to remember when you're voting for your next Mayor of Greater Manchester. Who's going to keep you safe? Who's going to keep the streets safe? Who's going to tackle the drug dealers? Who's going to tackle the police officers who are drug dealers? Who's going to tackle the violent criminal who stabs you in the backside and doesn't even know you and doesn't even know what the argument was about? Who's going to do these things? I'll tell you who's going to tackle these things. I'll tackle these things. And I'm confident I can tackle them. Do you know why? Not because I've read a book. Not because I've been to university and did criminology. Not because I used to be a criminal. I can tackle these things because this is what I did for 10 years. I was based in police stations. I trained police officers. I've designed crime reduction projects. I've won awards for that work. I've advised 2 prime ministers. their policy units on how we do this sort of work across the country. I'm an expert in prevention and early intervention. That's how, as Mayor, I will clean up Greater Manchester. You vote for me, you'll get a new sheriff. Get a new sheriff in town. That's what we need. No more of this pink and fluffy policing. No more of this, that's offensive. You hurt my feelings. I don't care about your feelings. I care about people hurting your body and stealing your stuff. That's the sort of crime we need to prioritise. No more of this hate crime, pink and fluffy nonsense. You vote for me, you get a new sheriff in town.